Where we do want to start, though, is with the Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins, as you alluded to. This game had everything. It was like Stefan. It was the hottest club is Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. It had everything. It had a butt punt. It had so many different things. There's a ton to dig into here. Your biggest takeaway from a wild game between the Dolphins and the Bills today?
First one is it stinks to play in hot weather because, oh my God, both teams looked gassed at the end of the game. The ref looked gassed at spotting the ball. I know McKenzie should have gone out of the ball out of bounds, but the ref looked delirious. He was like, he messed up the hashes because they still have the college hashes from the University of Miami game from yesterday against Middle Tennessee State. Oh, Tyler Van Dyke. That's gonna be another story. But oh my God, he messed up. He looked at the wrong hash. He was like, oh, it's actually this one, guys. Sorry. But but this game was Josh Allen and is something else, man. His usage rate he has Russell Westbrook level usage rate, but as an NFL quarterback, he had 71 dropbacks today, which is, I went through 2012 on True Media, and it's the most ever. That's the most ever dropbacks by a quarterback on record, as we can go. There's only been 3 games of 70 or more dropbacks by one quarterback. One was Jared Goff, of all people, and the other was Lamar against the Titans in the playoffs a couple of years back. So, the Josh Allen offense couldn't do enough. But, quite the game there in Miami.
We could start with that if you want to. It was the Josh Allen offense today because I come away from this game a little bit concerned about the Bills simply because this is the first game where we really saw what the holes on the offensive line can mean for this team.
Yep.
Exacerbated by the fact that Spencer Brown goes out with heat illness at some point. David Quisenberry has to come in for him. They're already on center number 2. Greg Mance is playing at some point in this game. The right guard goes out. They have to replace him. So they're playing with a ton of new pieces along the offensive line. But even when Brown was in the game, I thought Miami's front was better than the Bills' offensive line today. And you saw Allen consistently in trouble and really having to pull something out of his ass. He had a lot of magic on third down today, just small scrambles, making things happen when it wasn't there. That completion up the sideline to Singletary that he placed in his hands at one point. There were so many, all right, Josh, you go do something, plays in this game. And for the first time, that as the baseline of the Bills offense left me a little bit concerned. The Dolphins deserve some credit in making it hard on them, but I still feel like this is the first time where we've seen some of the cracks in the Bills personnel on that side of the ball.
And when they weren't winning, just rushing forward, the Dolphins, they would bring in pressures and getting free runners time after time after time after time. And it was crazy how many times Josh Allen was making a guy miss and then making a play. I mean,
that's exactly what I'm thinking about.
At least a half dozen. He made a guy miss or freeze, and he created either a first down or explosive play, which is so you're turning a negative into a big positive for your offense. But
I'm thinking about that Ingram play where he leaps at the pump fake. I mean, there were 5 of those in this game.
He's changing his arm angle, but then he's it's stupid what he's doing because he'll hit balls down the field. He's hitting RPOs, and they don't have to worry about the offensive lineman getting downfield because he'll pump fake and then throw sidearm, and the ball's coming out so quick that it did you don't even have to worry. That's usually why you can't pump fake on an RPO, Carson Wentz, is because you're worried about getting those penalties, and it doesn't matter with him. But it's pretty insane. How much it's just him and we knew this. We know that's the kind of how the Bills offense is, but right now you really saw it, especially in this game. And I cracked the joke on Twitter that I said, I think the Bills just run the ball just to give Josh Allen a breather. That's what it feels like. It doesn't feel like they're trying to get in the yards. They're just hey, let's give Josh a blow here. And that as opposed to hey, we'll just keep pounding away, do what he does and where he runs around like an ostrich. But yeah, I think you saw the limitations of it all. I wasn't really oh man, that's a terrible scheme by the Bills. It was more just hey, this is all we can do because our offensive line was so patchy and just getting beat up. And also when you do all those 5-man protections like the Bills like to do, hey, if we blitz it, we're going to create a free runner just by the math game. So you could just really see that game kind of squeeze, especially as Josh Allen got tired.
And again, some credit to the guys up front for Miami. I like Sealer 92. He consistently is doing shit. Wilkins had some moments. Agba had a couple really nice moments as a pass rusher, inside and outside. We're not going to talk about this as part of that final sequence because it's overlooked by a million different things. Ken Dorsey smashing a bunch of machinery being number 1. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah.
Even in you've seen a tablet go in the.
I've seen tablets. I've seen walls being punched. You see some stuff, and the Bills assistant did his best to try and cover it up before he could before Moore could get on camera there. Usually they try to turn the camera off or they throw a towel on, but when the guys freak out like that, I haven't seen it to that extent where it looked like the panda meme where the panda's just breaking the tablet over the table. You know, that's what it looked like. I haven't seen it to that extreme, but I've seen some walls being punched over the years.
The what I was getting to is Quisenberry gets dinged for holding on the play before they run out of time because they were pretty much in field goal range before that hold happens. And that's all Agba. Agba had some really nice rushes from a 3 technique today from the edge. So again, want to give some credit to Miami's defense, but concerned about some aspects of the Bills offense. 9 carries for 13 yards for Devin Singletary today. They cannot run the ball when they need to. And that could absolutely be a concern moving forward. On the other side of the ball, again, some of the personnel concerns, not only were they hurt in the secondary coming into this game, at one point, Christian Benford goes out and Ingram, who's now their 3rd string corner, is in the game. And there were a couple moments in the second half where Miami was really going after him. There was that one play where Waddle goes vertical and he just has to get tons of depth and he's really concerned about it. But also, again, you want to give Miami some credit because they made plays when there were plays to be made on that side of the ball as well.
Yeah, they had 39 plays today, which is the fewest by any NFL team since 2018, which was also the Dolphins in a week 3 game, which is kind of funny. But, you know, credit to them because they made them count, and they really did. The 3rd and 22 play late in the game, I think it was in the end of the 3rd quarter, that was a really great play call. It's cool that the Dolphins and Mike McDaniel, they don't play scared on those 3rd and longs. They really take it to defenses. Hey, you're going to play soft. Because they're playing Tampa 2 there, the Bills were, and it was just a great concept. It was a shot play. Obviously, the completion happened, but it was mirrored corners. I'm going to talk about this play on Wind the Clock, but it was corner routes and what people call a 7-up, not just because it's a fun pun, but 7 as a corner on the route tree and then an up route by Waddle there. And it looks like a high-low concept against cover 2, and you got new DBs back there. So he's like, okay, wide is the widest, deep is the deepest, and they have another route. What was the guy's name? Trent Sherfield to tie down Edmonds over the middle of the field. It was just a nice play design. It was a shot play. It's a safe shot play because it was 7-man protection. If it's not there, check it down. We'll see if we can get half of it. Waddle sells the corner. You could see his speed. And it was a great play call at a great time. So it's one of those, they only ran 39 plays, but they made them count. And also I just want to give a shout out. We talked about the Dolphins defense already, but Javon Holland had a great game today too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, at least 2 or 3 PBUs that were really, really great plays where he saved almost made a pick on it, but also was just saving whole shots that would have been 20, 25-yard gains for the Bills. So I want to give a shout out to him as well.
And a sack fumble. I mean, he absolutely, he does so much for them. Also, I forgot, it was in my notes, I missed it. The Melvin Ingram sack against Spencer Brown on the inside move that he also had a sack fumble in this game. A lot of defensive players making plays for the Dolphins. On that touchdown, I keep calling it a touchdown, on that huge gain to Waddle, you can also feel what Tyreek Hill is doing to the safety on the other side of the field because he's stretching down the sideline. That guy's being pulled in that direction. There's all that space in the middle of the field. You just feel the speed when you watch this team consistently. So the one little wrinkle design-wise I wanted to talk about, we've talked about this play a lot already this season because everyone is running it. And it's the RPO where you have the guy going in jet motion, running a little rail wheel up the sideline and the post from the inside player. Miami ran like 2 little variations of it today for chunk gains. They had the guy going in motion run to the flat, and that pulled it down, and then Waddle came up the sideline, and then they ran like a little dig with Tyreek Hill off of it, where he comes inside. And it's just like all the same kind of designs and everything looking the same with these tiny little wrinkles off of it. And that's what the Dolphins offense feels like right now. It's that all this stuff is coming at you with such gusto, and then there are like little tiny tweaks on it that makes it really, really hard to defend. You're already terrified playing on your heels, and the fact that these things are switching up at the last minute on you, they're really, really difficult to deal with right now.
And we think of the vertical element with it. Of course, these guys create so much yards after the catch, and this is a way to make the horizontal game dangerous because it's creating space for your run game, and then also in the RPO game because one guy hesitates, one guy doesn't pass it off, one guy gets picked. It should be a 5-yard gain, turns into a 15, 18, 20-yard gain. And that's annoying. It's really annoying because you're like, oh, one guy misses a tackle, they heat you up. The other stat I came across today was that only 3 players right now are averaging more than 3 yards per route. Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill are 1 and 2, and number 3 is Rashad Bateman. So of course I'm going to include that stat. So, but that just speaks to what they're doing, though. It's a balanced offense in a way, as far as like run pass splits. It feels like the RPO kind of juices those numbers a little bit, but it feels balanced where it's not like, oh, they just keep spamming these plays, because like you said, they're just doing little design tweaks where it doesn't feel like they're just hitting the same play over and over, like maybe the Chiefs, where you get frustrated with their offense sometimes does.
They ran a counterplay with the tight end pulling for a nice chunk gain to Mostert at one point. And then I think it was on the next drive, they ran an action that looked similar with the tight end coming across, and then he reverses course and comes back on the end around.
Yeah.
The Niners have done this forever. The Niners have done this so often that I remember the Cardinals stealing it from the Niners at one point.
A week later. Yeah.
Yes. But again, those plays tie together. You have a similar sort of action, and it's just one thing playing off the other. And when you combine that general ethos with the talent that the Bills have, or excuse me, the talent that the Dolphins have, a receiver, this is the kind of stuff that you see. And the last play I wanted to point out, the touchdown that he threw, I'm never going to remember the guy's name. What's the guy's name? Craycraft? 85? Craycraft.
Is this for another nickname?
I think that's what it is.
Kraft mac and cheese.
So the touchdown of Kraft mac and cheese, that is actually well played by the Bills.
Yes.
They communicated on it.
Yeah.
Because Hill was in the backfield. Mostert was a part of that little bunch on the left side.
Right?
Yep. And they were talking. There was a lot of communication going on with a lot of new pieces on that side. And they actually picked it up really well. And Tua rifled that thing.
Yes.
Like that was a very low margin for error throw, and he makes that throw. So at a certain point, obviously he's being put in good spots. I think that the Dolphins overall have made it easier on their players, but he made some throws when he needed to make some throws today.
He's getting the ball out so quick, and that speaks to him. And sometimes it could be an issue where, like, okay, the first half, the pick against the Ravens last week, where he just launched it because he thought the picture wasn't going to change. But then the benefit is if you're going to run the same coverage against him every time, he's going to know where to go with the ball, because he is smart enough to know that. And it speaks to him. That's why he doesn't get hit as much as you would think he would, because the ball comes out every single time.
Milano probably should have had a pick that could have sealed this game, which is
the
worth
pick six on the slant.
But also Holland did. I mean, it wouldn't have been a pick six, but a dropped interception on either side. Tua made throws when he needed to. Big question worth asking: should Tua have been in this game in the second half?
No, and they were trying to say it's like it was weird when they tried to say it was a different injury when he gets up.
It was a back injury. We all saw him get up.
Stumble. You don't stumble like that with a back injury.
He stumbled, and then they had to hold him up when he was coming off the field.
Yeah. And this wasn't the Byron Leftwich at Marshall where guys are carrying him. This was a I stayed out till 2:30 at the bar kind of stumble. So that was I when he got knocked, I was like, oh dang, I kind of you want a fair fight. You want both of the quarterbacks in there. Obviously, you don't want anyone to get hurt. And so all of a sudden they said, oh, he's coming back in the second half. It's like, what? Oh, he's got his helmet on. I couldn't believe that he had his helmet on. I was like, oh, they got to take it away from him. We all know this. And he played the whole second half with it, which is bonkers.
Big picture takeaways from this game. What are you going to remember? What are you taking with you to week 4 from what happened today between these two teams?
Oh, my God. I think Josh Allen can't have this much usage. The Bills got to pick up their run game. And also, I think the Dolphins had a complete game. Like, I think this was their best performance, even though they had the other wins this year. I think this was their best team performance as far as defense and offense. And we're not going to talk about the butt punt. So I won't say the 3 phases of special teams because they had that. But I thought this was a very complete game from the Dolphins where I could see their defense winning them games.
So I think that's it for me. It's that this Dolphins team, I think not wildly because they played well for the first 2 weeks. Yeah. But I do think it changes my opinion of them as it relates to the grander hierarchy in the AFC. The fact that they are going to be here pretty much every single week all the way through the end. I don't know how far they go. I don't know what their ceiling is, but they're going to be a pretty damn good team for this entire year. One more note on the butt punt. Morstead totally redeems himself with the safety punt.
Yes.
This is another small part of this game that ends up being huge. He booms that thing because when they got the safety on the butt punt, I'm going to say butt punt as many times as I can while this is still relevant.
It's so fun.
The slow-mo of the impact is so great. Like a butt hitting a football with that sort of velocity, with that sort of proximity.
That had to hurt.
It was a really special moment, and
It was.
it's one that's going to be replayed for all time. The fact that they won is
Yeah.
hugely important in not allowing this to become one of the greatest bloopers in the history of the NFL. So good on you for that. And part of the reason that they won, after they get to safety, I just assume that short kickoff,
Yep.
going to be in field goal range.
Yep.
This game is probably in hand. He booms that thing down inside the 10 and then makes them go the entire length of the field. And they still might have won if not for the holding penalty. But I want to give Thomas Morstead his due because he overcame the butt punt in short order to do his job for the Dolphins.
You see how jacked he was too after it? He was high-fiving.
Oh,
they showed him. Yeah, he was high-fiving everybody.
He was inches away from from going down, from becoming immortal. Just ultimate notoriety for the rest of his life for this butt punt, and then they won the game. So good for Thomas Morstead.